Today we are going to discuss the Gordon coat of arms. But before we get started, we wanted to let you know that we offer genealogy research service at our website. Please visit us at coadb.com. Alright, there's 90 coats of arms that we're going to go through. It's going to be a long video. We're not going to read all of the information present on the screen, but it is going to be present in the video description, as well as the first pinned comment and the second comment that we make. I'm going to mispronounce some of the names and locations, and for that I apologize. First coat of arms to discuss is blazoned Azure, 3 boars' heads, couped door. Belonged to the Gordon family of Gordon. There was Sir Thomas Gordon, who died in 1233. He was son of Richard and the nephew of Adam. Also by the Gordon family of Cocklarochie, George Gordon of Milton of Noth, born around the year 1460, was the first Laird of Cocklarochie and the son of Patrick Gordon of Fulziemont and John Isle, who was the first Laird of Craig. Azure, 3 boars' heads, erased or armed and langued gules. This belonged to the Gordons of Penningham, or Penninghame in Scotland. William Gordon of Murford, which was also known as Penningham, was born around the year 1523, had sons John, Alexander, William, and Robert. Here we have a border engrailed for Gordon of Auchendown, Patrick Gordon, born 1538, killed at the Battle of Glenlivet, was reportedly stabbed with dirks and had his head cut off. And brother Adam Gordon was a military leader during the Marian Civil War on behalf of Mary, Queen of Scots. Here we see the remains of the family castle, Auchendown Castle. Next, crest of boar's head, as in the arms, for Gordon of Embo in Sutherland. The Gordon Baronetcy of Embo was a title created in the baronetage of Nova Scotia in 1631 for Sir John Gordon, who was son of John Gordon, both of Embo, and he was succeeded by Robert. And a baronetcy was essentially a hereditary knighthood that passed from father to eldest son. Here we see the family estate of Embo House. Next we have Azure, 3 boars' heads within a double treasure flory counterflory of fleur-de-lis and thistles alternately and charged with 8 roses all o'er. Crest, 2 arms in the act of drawing a bow and arrow proper. This was the coat of arms of George Herschel Hamilton Gordon, born 1872. He was the son of General Sir Alexander Hamilton Gordon, who we see here, born 1817. A very similar coat of arms for Gordon of Haddo in Aberdeen, Scotland. The Gordon Baronetcy of Haddo was a title created in the baronetage of Nova Scotia in 1742 for Sir John, it should be 1642, for Sir John Gordon, who fought as a royalist in the English Civil War, was the son of George Gordon, who was the son of James Gordon of Haddo and Methlick. And here we see George Gordon. And here we see the 3rd baronet, also named Sir George Gordon, who was raised to the peerage as Earl of Aberdeen in 1682. Here we see the family estate of Haddo House in the modern day. Another fairly similar coat of arms. This has crest of Demolion rampant gules, and it has supporters, 2 chevaliers in complete armor for the Earl of Aboyne. The title was created in 1660 for Charles Gordon, 4th son of George Gordon, the 2nd Marquess of Huntly, which we'll get to later. And he was also created Lord Gordon of Strathavon and Glenlivet at the same time. We have one featuring a sheaf of arrows in the middle for Patrick Gordon of Cocklarochie in Aberdeen. Wasn't able to find any more information on him. This one has a pillar in the center with the word Tau for Gordon of Douch in Scotland. Thomas Gordon, born around the year 1380, was the illegitimate son of Sir John Gordon, who was slain at the Battle of Otterburn in the year 1388. Azure, a buckle between 3 boars' heads, couped door. Crest, a ship under sail proper for John Gordon. A bailey of Banff in Scotland. Registered in the year 1674. Here we have the crest, a sinister gauntlet proper, Gordon of Park in County Banff. The Gordon Baronetcy of Park was a title created in the Baronetage of Nova Scotia in 1686 for Sir John Gordon, son of another Sir John Gordon, who was son of Sir Adam Gordon, both of Park and Glen Bucket. Now, this one features a billet between the boar's heads and crest, a crescent argent for Gordon of Newark upon Trent in Nottinghamshire. In England, one of the few English ones we have here. The Gordon Baronetcy of Newark upon Trent was a title created in the peerage of Great Britain in 1764 for Sir Samuel Gordon, who also owned Haverholme Priory, which we see here. Another for Robert Gordon, Esquire, alive in the year 1825, featuring the crest being a cross cavalry gules and a lion rampant between the boar's heads. Another with a mullet. This is said to be for Gordon of Cadiz, Spain. Granted in 1790 to Arthur Gordon, who was living there. Azure line passant garden argent between three boar's heads, erased or crest, a hard at gaze proper. Said to be for Gordon of Terpsey in County Aberdeen. James Gordon of Terpsey, alive in the year 1764, was a mahogany cutter in Jamaica. Gordon of Bracco in Trelawney, Jamaica, granted in 1794 to Charles Gordon of Boothlaw, who purchased the Georgia estate in Jamaica in the year 1779. And it features an eastern crown and two spears, as well as a stag's head with a sugar cane in his mouth. Gordon of Knoxbeck in Aberdeen. John Gordon, born around the year 1654. Later came Colonel Henry Gordon, who died in 1787 and owned property in Grenada and North America and was the son of George Gordon, and himself had son Peter Gordon. Here we have one for Sir William Gordon of Garendon Park in County Leicestershire, England, born 1726, a member of Parliament for Portsmouth, an envoy to Denmark, minister at Brussels in Belgium, and the son of William Gordon, a merchant and planter in Jamaica. Here we see the family estate of Garendon Park. Azure, a pile or between three boar's heads, erased argent. Crest, a boar's head, erased and erect. Sable-eared and eared or for Gordon of Ireland. Now, we weren't able to find who this was granted to, but several possibilities include Gordon of Lackig in County Donegal, Ireland, Robert Gordon of Newry, Charles Gordon, a lieutenant, Alexander Gordon of Longford, a captain, Archibald Gordon, a captain, and George Gordon of Strabane in Tyrone, a merchant who died around the year 1747. This one features a cross moline and crest of boar's head erased, and his mouth a sword proper for Gordon of Edenglassy in County Banff. George Gordon of Edenglass, born 1637. He was High Sheriff, captain of a troop of horse, and the second son of Sir John Gordon of Park. Here we see the remains of Edenglassy Castle. Azure, a roundel, checky or, and of the first, between three boar's heads of the second, crest of stag lodged, for Gordon of Faskin or Farsbank in Banff. And I have a note here that says there was a William Gordon of Faskin alive in the year 1726. Another featuring a hand hoarding a sword proper for the crest. A Gordon of Earlston and Afton in County Kirkcudbright. The Gordon Baronetcy of Earlston was a title created in the Baronetage of Nova Scotia in 1706 for Sir William Gordon, who we see here. He was son of Sir Adam Gordon of Dalfoley in Sutherland. Here we see Earlstown Castle, the family estate. Another for Gordon of Greenlaw in Scotland. John Gordon, known as the Dark Knight of Greenlaw, eldest son of Alexander, who was Viscount Kenmure. There was also a William Gordon of Greenlaw, born 1706. And here we see Greenlaw House. Azure, three boar's heads, erased argent. Crest of a ducal coronet or a stag's head and neck of fronty proper, attired with 10 tines of the first. For Gordon of Florida in County Down, Ireland. Robert Gordon of Florida, born 1722, son of John Gordon of Ballinteggart, son of Robert Gordon of Ballinteggart. And he himself had issue, including David Gordon, High Sheriff of County Down, who had son Robert Gordon, born 1791, who also served as High Sheriff. And here we see the family estate of Florida Manor in the modern day. Look for Gordon of Carnoustie in Scotland. This crest features a dexter hand, couped vestways, holding a sword impale and filed with a boar's head erased all proper. Here we have Azure Lion Rampant, argent between 3 boar's heads, couped door. In the middle, a chief, a covered cup of the last, all within a border of the second. Crest, a crosslet fitchik gules between 2 wings, expanded or. Granted in 1793 to James Gordon of Cadiz, Spain. Gordon of Craig in County Aberdeen. Patrick Gordon of Fulziemont and Johnisleys acquired Craig, was the son of William Gordon of Tullermont, who was the son of John Gordon of Skurdargu, and he himself had sons Patrick Gordon of Auchendown, William Gordon of Craig, and George Gordon of Milton of North, or of Noth. Another for Gordon of Glenlivet in Scotland. John Gordon, born 1544, a Scottish prelate, had the barony of Glenlivet bestowed upon him by royal charter, which formerly belonged to his brother Lawrence Gordon. They were sons of Alexander Gordon, who was Archbishop of Glasgow and Bishop of Galway. Here we have Azure 3 boar's heads erased or within a border engrailed argent. Crest, a palm tree proper. Said to be for Gordon of Glasgow, registered in 1813, descended from Gordon of Colvennon. And I have a possibility listed below. Lieutenant George Gordon of the 42nd Highlanders, born 1793. One of the survivors of the Battle of Toulouse and the son of John Gordon, medical doctor and physician to the King of Denmark in the Danish West Indies. Son of George Gordon, who obtained a sugar plantation in Sevilla, Trinidad. Gordon of Kelvennon in County Kirkcudbright. Lieutenant Colonel Sir Alexander Gordon of Kelvennon, born 1748, was Sheriff of Wigtown and Kirkcudbright, the son of William Gordon of Greenlaw and Kelvennon, and himself had son Lieutenant Colonel James Gordon, who we see depicted here. Another coat of arms. This has crest a hand holding a writing pen proper, and the border is 8 crescents of the 3rd. For Gordon of Holme and Kirkcudbright, there was Alexander Spalding Gordon of Holme and Shermers. He had daughter Jean, who died in the year 1824. Gordon of Cobarty in County Aberdeenshire. James Gordon of Cobarty died in 1733, was the father of Sir Ernest Gordon of Park and Cobarty, who died in 1800. Gordon of Nethermuir. This crest has a dexter hand issuing out of a cloud, throwing a dart all proper. David Gordon of Nethermuir, born around the year 1540, son of James Gordon of Methlick and Haddo, had son Patrick Gordon, and the lineage ended with John Taylor Gordon of Newton Lodge, Black House, and Nethermuir, alive in the year 1832, who was the son of Maxwell Gordon, who was the son of William Gordon of Nethermuir. Here we see the family estate of Nethermuir House. Very similar coat of arms for Gordon of Bracco. Patrick Gordon, son of Alexander Gordon, both of Bracco. Later came Charles Gordon, born 1747, who was a transatlantic slave owner. Here we have Azure, a Moor's head, couped argent, banded or between 3 boar's heads, erased or. A border engrailed to the last, crest a dove with an olive branch in its beak proper. For Gordon of Newton in County Aberdeen. Alexander Gordon Davidson of Newton, born 1744, was the son of Alexander Davidson and Marie Gordon. She was the daughter of George Gordon, the 9th Laird of Gite. Azure, 3 boar's heads within a border or a crescent for difference. Crest, a hand holding a book expanded proper. One for Gordon of Tillyangus. James Gordon of Tillyangus, born in 1511, fought in the Battle of Cocklarochie, son of William Gordon, the 2nd Laird of Craig, and himself had son William Gordon, who had son John, who had son Alexander Gordon. Gordon of Buthlaw in County Aberdeen. James Gordon of Chapelton of Esselmont was the first of Boothelaw, son of Thomas Gordon of Broadland, son of James Gordon, son of Thomas Gordon of Segedin, and later came Charles Gordon of Boothelaw and Cairns, seen here, who had son Major General Thomas Gordon, born 1788, who is remembered for his role in the Greek War of Independence. Here we see Cairns House. Now, therefore, Gordon of Licheston in County Banff, Scotland. One for Lieutenant Colonel Hugh Mackay Gordon, born 1760, a British Army officer who served in the American War of Independence and was Lieutenant Governor of Jersey. Gordon of Auchendown, arms registered in the 1670s. John Gordon, Esquire, sold the estate in 1719, and earlier there was a John Gordon alive in the year 1593. Gordon of Birkenburn in County Banff, Alexander Gordon of Birkenburn, born 1516. Gordon of Lesmore in County Aberdeen. The Gordon Baronetcy of Lesmore was a title created in 1625 for Sir James Gordon, son of Alexander Gordon of Lesmore, who was a descendant of James Gordon of Lesmore, born 1472, who descended from the Gordons of Tilly Termont. Gordon of Badensclough in Aberdeenshire. I'm not sure who this one was granted to, but two members of this branch of the family that lived in the 18th century were William Gordon and James Gordon. Gordon of Rothieme in Banff. George Gordon of Rothieme, burned to death at the castle of Frundrout in 1630 under suspicious circumstances. Gordon of Rothney. I have here George Gordon of Rothney, alive in the year 1663, had issue George of She Lagreen, John, and William Gordon. This crest features a man presenting a gun. Azure, a seta argent between three boars' heads, couped door. Now, we have this as Gordon of Rothieme. James Gordon of Rothieme, born 1615, was a minister and the fifth son of Robert Gordon of Straylock, seen here, who was an antiquary and geographer. Here we see Rothieme, family estate. Gordon of Cluny in Aberdeen. The Gordons of Cluny were implicated in the Jacobite uprising of 1745, which resulted in Cluny Castle passing to a third branch of the Gordon family around the year 1753. The new proprietor was John Gordon, born 1695, who had son Cosmo Gordon, and later came Lieutenant Colonel John Gordon of Cluny, who died in the year 1858. And here we see the family estate of Cluny Castle in the modern day. This one features Crest and Oak Tree proper, and a border checky of the second and first. Alexander Gordon of Tobago, I think in the West Indies, live in the year 1788. Azure Ben Wavy Argent between three boars' heads erased ore. Or James Gillespie Gordon of Clifton in New Zealand, alive in the year 1874. Here we see the family estate of Clifton. Gordon of Dingooch, William Gordon of Dingooch. Crest is a hand holding a baton erect proper. Gordon of Lochinvar in County Kirkcudbright. The Gordon Baronetcy of Lochinvar was created in 1626 for Sir Robert Gordon, gentleman of the King's Bedchamber, the son of Sir John Gordon, who was son of Sir James Gordon, and he was succeeded by his son, who was raised to the peerage as Viscount Kenmure in the year 1633. Here we see Kenmure Castle. Gordon of Aikenhead in County Kirkcudbright, Scotland. John Gordon of Aikenhead, born 1815, was son of John Gordon, a merchant. And here we have a painting of one Colonel Gordon of Aikenhead. And here we see the family estate of Aikenhead House. This is Gordon of Shermers. William Gordon of Shermers, who died in 1717, was son of the 5th Viscount of Kenmure. Gordon of Creglaw in Scotland, James Gordon of Creglaw, alive in the year 1680, son of James Gordon, who was Commissioner of Supply for Wigtown. They descended from William Gordon of Creglaw, who was born around the year 1465. Here we see the family estate of Creglaw. Gordon of Trocuhin, Robert Gordon of Trocuhin, alive in the year 1677, descended from a second son of Sir John Gordon of Stichel. Gordon of Cardonis in Scotland. John Gordon of Ardwell acquired the estate of Cardonis in 1622. And we see the family estate here. One for Francis E.V. Evans Gordon, alive in the year 1846. Wasn't able to identify who that was, but it looks like some of the descendants of this family were Sir William Eden Evans Gordon, who was knighted in 1805, the son of Major Charles Spalding Evans Gordon, born 1813. Gordon of Auchendown in Banff. Alexander Gordon of Auchendown, born 1670, was a Scottish general who fought in the Russian army under Peter the Great and for the Jacobites in 1715. He was the son of Robert Gordon of Auchendown, who was commander in the army of Russia. There was also a Thomas Gordon, who was an admiral in the Russian Navy and became governor of Kronstadt. He died in 1741. Also related to Russia, there was General Patrick Gordon of Auchenlootries, born 1635. He educated a young Tsar Peter I in military and naval matters and became one of his chief advisors. And later there was a George Gordon of Auchenlootries who was alive around the year 1750. Here we see the family estate of Auchentoul. Azure chevron argent between three boars' heads, couped door, crest, a dexter hand holding a dagger proper. For Joseph Gordon, who lived in the mid-18th century, said to be a builder of London. Gordon of Avouchy in County Aberdeen. William Gordon of Avouchy, son of James Gordon of Canberra, had son James Gordon, who had son John, who had son grandson Henry Gordon, who died in 1733, who had son Colonel John Gordon. Here we see the remains of Avouchy Castle, the family estate. We have Gordon of Gordonbank in County Berwick, granted in 1700. Later there was a George Gordon, Esquire, of Gordonbank, alive in the year 1777. This crest is a dexter hand issuing out of a cloud, grasping a sheaf of arrows all proper. Azure on a chevron ermine between three boars' heads erased or a stag's head erased gules. Crest, a stag's head erased proper. For Gordon of Milrig, there was a William Gordon of Milrig, born around the year 1780. Here we see Milrig House, the family estate. Gordon of Glenbucket in County Aberdeen. John Gordon of Glenbucket, born around the year 1673, was a Scottish Jacobite. He fought in several successive Jacobite uprisings as Major General. He escaped to Norway and later settled in France. He was the son of John Gordon of Knoxbuck, who purchased Glenbucket in the year 1701, which we see here. Gordon of Hallhead and Esselmount in Aberdeen. George Gordon of Hallhead, son of Thomas Gordon of Ruthven. Later came Robert Gordon, the 13th Lord of Hallhead. And lastly, it looks like the lineage ended with Henry Woolridge Gordon, barrister at law, alive in the year 1873. Here we see the family estate of Esselmont. Azure, a fest dance set between three boars' heads, couped door for Gordon of London. Very similar, featuring two trefoils and an annulet sable between. For Thomas Gordon of All Hallows in Barking, London, and of Scotland. He lived on Tower Hill and was the son of Thomas Gordon, and this was granted in the 1700s. Azure, three boars' heads, couped door, and chief, three phrases Asher. Crest, a buck's head, and neck affrontee, erased proper, attired, or gorged with a ducal coronet of the last. For Gordon of Demerara, which is actually Guyana in South America. There was Daniel Gordon, alive in the year 1800, partner in a financial firm. Similar coat of arms with mullets for Gordon of London. Alexander Gordon, Esquire of London, alive in the year 1865, descended from Gordon of Brackley. Now we get to the quarterly coat of arms. This is for the Earl of Huntly. Alexander Seton, the first Earl of Huntly, adopted the family name of Gordon about the year 1457. He was a powerful Scottish magnate. The sixth Earl was created a Marquess in 1599, and the fourth Marquess was created a Duke in the year 1694. And here we see some members of the family. Cosmo Gordon, the third Duke, born 1720. George Gordon, the fifth and last Duke, born 1770, as well as the family estate of Huntly Castle. Another for Gordon of Letterfury in Banff. The Gordon Baronetcy of Letterfury was a title created for Sir Alexander Gordon, born 1715, who was succeeded by Sir James Gordon. Gordon of Gordonstown in Elgin. The Gordon Baronetcy of Gordonstown was a title created in the Baronetage of Nova Scotia in 1625 for Sir Robert Gordon, a member of Parliament for Inverness. He was born at Dunrobin Castle, the fourth son of Alexander Gordon, the 12th Earl of Sutherland. And he was succeeded by his son, Sir Ludovic Gordon, who was also a member of Parliament. And then we get to the third baronet, Sir Robert Gordon, known as the Wizard of Gordonstown. He studied chemistry and mechanics in Italy and is rumored to have sold his soul to the devil in exchange for 30 extra years of life and the understanding of science. Here we see the family estate of Letterfury. Another for Gordon of Cluny, which we had already discussed. Gordon of Dalfoley and Invergordon. Gordon Baronetcy of Dalfoley was a title created in 1704 for Sir William Gordon, a member of Parliament. Gordon of Titchmurray. James Gordon of Ziatry, later of Titchmurray, son of James Gordon, born in 1716, son of Robert Gordon of Stralick and Pitlourg. Gordon of Northcote in the Isle of Wight. The Gordon Baronetcy of Northcote was a title created in 1818 for Sir James Willoughby Gordon, a general officer in the British Army, and the eldest son of Captain Francis Grant Gordon of the Royal Navy. And here we see the family estate of Northcote Manor in the modern day. Gordon of Baldorney and Wardhouse. Charles Edward Gordon of Wardhouse and Baldorney, born 1750, was a descendant of Alexander, who acquired the castle in 1713, and a descendant of George Gordon, who purchased the lands the castle was on in 1545. He himself had son James Alexander Gordon, born 1782, an admiral in the Royal Navy who fought at the Battle of Groix and the Battle of Cape St. Vincent during the French Revolutionary Wars. Here we see Baldorney Castle in the modern day, as well as the remains of Wardhouse. Gordon of Guyt in Aberdeen. Sir William Gordon of Chivas and Guyt died at the Battle of Flodden in 1513 and was succeeded by his son George Gordon. Here we see the remains of Guyt Castle. Gordon of Guyt, again, different coat of arms, different source perhaps. Gordon of Abergeldy. Sir Alexander Gordon, who died in 1504, succeeded by his son George Gordon of Abergeldy, as well as Gordon of Hatfield in County Herefordshire, England. William Gordon, Esquire of Hatfield, only son of Adam Gordon of London. Here we see the family estate of Abergeldy, as well as some members of the Gordons of Abergeldy, two females here. We have Margaret Gordon. Looks like the other one's name didn't make it on. Quarterly coat of arms featuring Crest in the sea, a ship under sail proper for Gordon of Aberdeen, registered near 1680. Wasn't able to ascertain to who, perhaps someone in the Royal Navy or perhaps someone who owned a shipyard. Gordon of Glastirum, Patrick Gordon of Glastirum had son Alexander Gordon, a medical doctor who died in 1763. Gordon of South Carolina. John Gordon, born around the year 1710, was a loyalist British merchant and trader, the son of John Gordon of Aberdeen. Gordon of Pittlurg in Aberdeen. John Gordon of Pittlurg died in 1547 and had grandson Sir John Gordon, who had son Gordon of, looks like I didn't write the name down there, but Sir John Gordon died in 1600 and had a son who continued the lineage. Gordon of Ardmally, or Mealy, and Banff. James Gordon of Ardmally, born 1640, a merchant and the son of George Gordon of Cocklarochie. Paley, gules in argent, 3 boars' heads, erased proper. Crest, a dexter arm, couped at the elbow, vested Paley and gules, brandishing in the hand a scimitar proper. For Colonel William Eagleston Gordon, Esquire, born 1866, the son of William Eagleston Gordon of Homehill in Stirlingshire, a medical doctor. Or 3 boars' heads, gules. Crest, a boar's head, gules. Sable, a fess checky argent and azure, a lion passant gules between 3 boars' heads erased or. Crest, a buck's head erased proper. Gules, 3 fleur-de-lis argents for Gordon of Wiltshire, England. And it looks like lastly, I believe, we have Sable, 3 leopards' heads, jacent de Leor. Crest, a goat's head, argent, attired or salient against a mountain vert. This is actually, I believe, for the Gordon family, sometimes recorded as Gordon, of Assington in County Suffolk, England. There was Brampton Gordon, or Gurdon, born 1566, an English country gentleman who sat in the House of Commons and was Sheriff of Suffolk, who was son of John Gordon, or Gurdon, of Assington, born 1544, a member of Parliament and High Sheriff, who was the son of Robert Gurdon of Assington. Here we see the family estate of Assington Hall. And if you enjoyed this video, please visit us at coadb.com, where we offer genealogy research services, high-resolution heraldic JPEGs, and heraldic merchandise such as t-shirts, posters, mugs, and canvas prints. Like and subscribe. Link in the description. Thank you very much.